the medicine woman.
Hi guys, it's Asha Lovely Day here with another video, and this video is quite self-explanatory looking at it, and it's very simple. This is probably why you keep on re-traumatizing yourself. So, if you're watching this video, I'm sure you must feel misunderstood. Like, no one gets why you keep on going back to him or going back to those toxic patterns or going back to these people that are abusive. Why you end up in repeating cycles and why all your decisions seem to kind of show that you don't love yourself. It's a journey in progress towards being able to not go back to those cycles, being able to live a healthy life and create boundaries that make you feel safe. But I think this video is basically going to this word is something I feel like you should take note of. I read a book about dialectical and cognitive behavioral therapy. I had so much psychology books. It's on my mom's Audible. I will link it if I can find it. But core beliefs are a huge part of the psychology world. So I would just Google it and kind of read about it in your own time. But if I can't find that book, this one kind of changed my life. And I'm going to be discussing how core beliefs kind of affect why you keep on re-traumatizing yourself. So I think in this process, you need to challenge your core beliefs. I'm sure you're asking yourself, what are core beliefs? And this is what they are according to the dictionary, as I always do. I always like to have a dictionary definition just to show that I'm not saying a crock of shit. Core beliefs are fundamental assumptions that people have about themselves, they have about other people, and the world. They're often rigid and inflexible and can be based on childhood experiences. Core beliefs can impact how people think, feel, and behave. So that's the definition. So the question you may be having is, how can I challenge those core beliefs? Especially when society and the people around me have made me like they've ingrained it into my subconscious. So you have to work in basically indoctrinating yourself into self-love. And these are the steps you can make towards doing that. I say the first step, which is probably in the video before this one, but I always mention it, inner child healing. The damage that has been done to your subconscious has basically been done to you since you were a child. And it's not something that overnight you can just wake up and be like, oh my God, I've done what's it called? It's not going to be easy for us who have probably lived a life where we're been severely affected by trauma. It's not going to be easy. So I think the first step I made towards like overcoming the cycles or breaking cycles was to figure out what the main emotion was that stopped me from living my life authentically. And for me, it was fear. So for you, it could be sadness, it could be anger, it could be lust, it could be self-doubt. Let's get more specific. It could be self-doubt, it could be not feeling good enough, it could be imposter syndrome. But kind of attacking that emotion when it happens, and automatically when you're done with this process, you'll find that when fear or that thing kind of takes over your body, you will know how to kind of respond in a way that is, what's the word? You'll know how to kind of respond in a way that is not like anything you've been through before. It will no longer hold you back, basically. And then you can also explore the emotions that you were not allowed to feel growing up. Like growing up, I don't feel like I was allowed by society or generally, or I didn't allow myself, because I can't just blame everyone. I didn't allow myself to experience anger. I'd always sat in sadness. So now I try to just like let myself experience these emotions, because the truth is, you have to kind of experience a plethora of emotions for you to feel, or for you to live a very balanced life, to be healthy. Going back to fear. So, using fear for an example, fear can be the emotion that's holding you back from fulfilling your dreams, making bold moves, and basically watching your life go by and making you stand for nothing. That line is very important because when you stand for nothing, you can let down the people around you and you can overall watch your life go by and not make any moves. It's better that you make decisions where you regret them than you do nothing at all. Because any older person I've always met or have always, what's it called, have interacted with, will say they kind of regret all the things that they didn't do rather than the things that they did. And sometimes the consequences of doing are less severe than doing nothing. So I think it's better for you to get to that place where you're more of an active participant in your life than for you to just watch life go by and be like fuzzy da about things that are extremely important and things where you need to take action. And I want to reference Cher, one of my favorite singers. If it doesn't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter. I think looking towards the future in that way, obviously you need to be mindful and fulfilled with your present. Looking towards the future and being like, you know what, this isn't gonna matter in 5 years, then it doesn't matter. And the truth is, the way sometimes life is like a gossip magazine. If it's trending this week, people may not care the next week. Always be active. be a participant in your life, because then you can be kind of accountable in where your life is going, and you may not necessarily keep on re-traumatizing yourself. So towards um make actions towards improving yourself, which of course I will go more into this video, and you can kind of see how that can help you. I think one of the other things you need to attack is self-loathing. I think self-loathing is a huge core belief that kind of makes you, what's it called, makes you make the choices that people will maybe look down on you because of. So you need to attack the core beliefs of why you hate yourself, what made you feel that way, and who could it have been? Could it have been society? Could it have been your parents? Could it have been your friends? Could it have been your caretakers? You really need to address where the source of validation is coming from, and you cut it off. Cutting off sources of validation is extremely important, because the moment you cut that source of validation, it is um it is going to make sure that that hand over your life, that kind of puppet string where you feel like you're being controlled, whether, and it could be society, it could be something bigger than people. Once you cut off that source of validation, you will become more like you would have more of an incentive to kind of live your life and make choices that are more fulfilling. I'd say the best way they can do that, because it sounds very simple as I'm saying it, but keep on watching the video and you'll see that I say things and then I have solutions to back it up, because this is things I've gone through as well. The best thing you can do is what I've kind of called, I think people are gonna look to me one day as this big life coach, psychologist, whatever. But the best thing you can do is the replacement method. I think the replacement method is fantastic, something I come up with, because I think that when there is a source of something in your life, for you to kind of let go of it and kind of discard it, you have to replace it with something else. So if there's a negative, I was going to say negative, a negative source of validation, you need to replace it with something positive. And the first thing that you can replace it with is replace it with other positive people. So if there's a negative source of people in your life that are taking, like you're the people pleaser, they what's it called? The moment you start to replace it with something positive and there are positive people in your life, you would feel so uncomfortable and feel even more, what's the word? Feel even so disgusted with the people in your life who take advantage of you anyways. So definitely replacing that source of validation and that source of, what's the word? That source of pain, anguish, whatever it is that they cause you, with something that is of comfort, something that is of love, something that is of power. And I mean, empowering yourself will definitely give you more of an incentive to kind of live your life to the fullest. And one of my first videos, which is Are You a Child of the Shadow, what I would recommend, because if you make choices like this, you may be a child of the shadow, but I'm not going to go too much into it. It's going to be in the cards over there. In the first video, I discussed echo chambering, and echo chambering has a bad reputation, because people assume that echo chambering is just like a bunch of negative or conservative people who have negative thoughts and beliefs on other people, and they kind of just refuse to learn. Echo chambering can have positive effects on your life, especially if you have CPTSD, or you're struggling with breaking cycles and you're trying to just create a source of happiness and fulfillment and positivity in your life, because it can kind of, what's it called, protect you from things that will stop you from making choices that are harmful to you. So I'd say underneath the core beliefs, I think you need to attack the limiting belief. What is it that has made you feel limited? Start to really dissect it. Is it true? And if it is true, what can I do to change it? Attacking this limiting beliefs will make you feel more capable than you can ever imagine. So you need to see yourself as unlimited in certain aspects. Obviously, you're not limited. You need to know your limits. But a huge part of why we may feel like, for example, we keep on going back to these certain cycles, because we feel like we don't deserve any better. We feel like we don't deserve all the things that we dream of, or the things that we don't even allow ourselves to dream of. So the moment you kind of break those limits and ask, why is it that I can't have this? Why can't it be me? I think that overall it will increase your self-esteem. And if you want to build your self-esteem, I would suggest watching one of my first videos, How to Build Your Self-Esteem. Very helpful. It's also going to be in the cards here if that's possible. If I can't do more than 2 cards at once, it will be linked in my bio. Then I'd say the next step is to cut off, and I mean like slowly cut off all your devices. So if it's sex, drugs, alcohol, food, and etc., things that are more positive. So when you now cut them off and replace the source, like the replacement method, which I mentioned, with things that are more positive, you can reframe them. So from when you reframe it from a very positive context or positive way, I think that's when you can now slowly cut them off. So you're kind of preparing yourself to leave. I think when I think a huge part of for people like us who are trying to break negative cycles or who keep on going to negative things, most likely you have an anxious attachment. If you have an anxious attachment, it's very hard for you to let go of certain things or certain people. So going cold turkey is not going to be helpful. Going cold turkey is not going to kind of help you move on from certain ways that certain things hold you back. Slowly and preparing yourself to kind of leave situations is the best thing you can do. If you're in a domestic abuse situation, that's the first thing they're going to tell you. You can't leave him straight away or leave the drug, or if you're an addict, you can't stop smoking out of nowhere. It's never going to work if you, out of nowhere, just decide, I don't do this anymore. Absolutely not. So I think the best thing you can do is then slowly kind of reframe your relationship with whether it's that person, whether it's drug, and then you create a better relationship with them. Like completely cutting them off is not realistic for something like food. You can't completely cut off food. If you create a better relationship with food and don't associate food with punishing yourself, don't associate food with feeling something of an emptiness, don't associate food with nourishment and nourishing your body, it will be easier. Like I've always struggled with overeating, for example, and now I do this channel. And I don't even think about food the way I used to think about. So I kind of replace it with something positive. Of course I eat, but then I eat when I'm hungry. I don't eat when I'm sad. I don't eat when I feel the need to what's it called? When I feel like, oh, I need to stuff myself with food, I call a friend. When I feel like, oh, I need to stuff myself with food, I edit videos. I read, I watch what's it called? I go out, I walk out of the house. I just do the replacement method and I reframe my own relationship with that thing, with that person, to kind of create a life that is more nourishing for me, because you can't cut out everyone and everything. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Um, it's make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And it's Asha Lovely Day telling you to have a lovely day.